All right, welcome to episode 192. I can't believe we've done almost 200 of these. I'm happy Derek's not here to remind me that on episode 200 is supposed to be a big collage of everything because that ain't happening. I don't have time to listen to the last 100 episodes and make a little collage. So I guess if somebody wants to do it, let me know and we can figure it out. Maybe we have a fact checker. His name's Greg. Maybe Greg wants to do it, and I know saying that just kind of alerted Greg. Or maybe Ty, the videographer, wants to do it, but I don't think Ty wants to do it either. So maybe just we won't. Um, but I am joined by Cory, and Cory is the founder and the owner of ReRoll Golf, and he's actually right in our backyard here in Minnesota, which is super cool. Cory, I haven't said it to you, but we've been trying to do more stuff with Minnesota companies. Mainly because we live here. I love Minnesota. I think it's one of the places that people fly over and should really fly into more often because the courses are beautiful. There's so much good golf here, whether you're here in the cities or you're up north or you're down south in the state. There's so much good golf. And as we were talking about earlier, the food at the golf courses are always really good, no matter where you go. But we're trying to put Minnesota on the map. That's one of our big goals, and we want to keep growing here in the state a little bit more. So thank you for joining me, but I'm very excited to learn more about ReRoll Golf. We've already been talking about it for a little bit now, but um, excuse me, if you want to intro us to what ReRoll Golf is all about. I know you have a great foundation. I know it's all mental health oriented, both of which are great things in golf. But if you want to, excuse me again. Ooh, if you want to intro it for us, tell us what it's all about, when you started it, and then kind of what the overall goal is for Reroll.
Yeah, so appreciate you having us on the show. I'm really looking forward to this for the last couple weeks, ever since you guys reached out here. Um, as you mentioned, Minnesota it's a special place, especially when it comes to the golf season. We only have a few months of the year, so we all love to get out and enjoy it. We probably spend more time on the golf course than we should during the spring, summer, and fall, but it's worth it. As you mentioned, not only do we have great courses, but we have courses with great food. And then we also have a lot of great golf companies just in the Twin Cities. Three of the biggest, hottest golf apparel companies are located right in Minnesota. You have Unreal, which is doing a fantastic job. Um, Michael has really taken that company to a new level. You have the guys over at Swanee's, which makes some great gear. They're working with players on Live. And then you have one of my favorite brands, Waggle, they have some of the coolest looking shirts and apparel out there. Um, so when we started this, we wanted to separate ourselves in some way. We really wanted to create a brand as well as a foundation that had a purpose. And that purpose was to start the conversation around the impacts of mental health. So much of the game of golf is played between your ears, and so much of life is played between your ears. The self-talk that you give yourself when you wake up in the morning to how do you handle difficult situations? How do you handle the unexpected? One of the greatest analogies that I can think of is when you're playing golf, you can hit a great shot and have a bad bounce. And that's how life is as well. And we really wanted to put something out there that could resonate not only with the golfing community, but with people in general. Not all of our apparel is worn on the golf course. Um, we're from Minnesota. It gets cold up here in the winter. We have a couple thicker sweatshirts that you're probably not going to wear to the golf course in a hot summer day, but we wanted to create something that when people saw it, it resonated with our mission. And that's really why we started both the company doing the apparel, the accessories, the head covers, but then also tried to start a foundation at the same time. So back in 2019, I lost a good friend and former high school teammate to suicide. And that really weighed on me for a number of years because when he passed away, we talked about, hey, we want to do something to honor him. We want to start a tournament. We want to do all this. And then COVID happened
Mhm.
and we are all locked inside for the next couple of years. And during that time, you started to see the impacts of mental health gain and gain and gain. Um, with the addition of social media, we see that suicide rates amongst young people are growing and growing and growing at an exponential rate. And we know we probably won't be the next Nike. That's not our aspirations. We're not trying to be the next billion-dollar apparel company. But if we can get out there and we can resonate with one person and get them to open up and talk to someone when they're going through a difficult time, we've accomplished our mission. And over the last year and a half, almost 2 years that we've been doing this now, I've learned a lot about mental health. And the biggest thing that I've learned is it does not discriminate. It does not care if you're a famous athlete or a famous actor or a young college kid that's going through a tough time in school or someone that just relocated and having a tough time making a connection with people in their uh, community. I've met people from all walks of life that have struggled with, whether it's depression and anxiety, substance abuse, just the fear of being inadequate in their daily lives. I mean, you can name it. The spectrum's very, very wide when it comes to how people are affected by these conditions. So that's really why we started what we were doing. Um, we're learning as we go. I don't come from a apparel background. I don't come from a nonprofit background. I'm just someone that was very passionate about not only the game of golf, but trying to end that stigma that's surrounding mental health conditions. So I really appreciate you having us on here to chat a little bit more about it.
Yeah. And like you said, it doesn't discriminate. And I feel like there's an unfair stigma around mental health and men. A lot of guys are like, oh, it's not gonna happen to me. That stuff's fake. It's this, it's that. And it's totally wrong to think like that because it does happen to everybody and anybody. It does not discriminate, like you were saying. We were talking off camera, offline, however people want to look at it. You know, it's unfortunately one of those things that people don't talk about until it happens. We were talking about Grayson Murray. He, I don't even know what I could say about him that hasn't been said. Great player. You don't make it to the PGA and not be a great player, regardless of what people think of you or whatever. But, even somebody like, a Robin Williams, which caught everybody to left field. The funniest dude you've ever seen, always smiling on TV and in interviews. And, it happens at a split second. And people unfortunately make the decision to end it versus seek help. So if we can get one person involved to seek help, I think this episode's a win. But even if we get people thinking about it and being like, this is, I don't want to say normal, but this stuff does happen and they realize that they're not alone. I think this episode's a win too. Um,
Absolutely.
but it's unfortunately one of those things that, guys don't talk about. And I think it's really dumb that guys don't talk about it. I don't care how big and macho and buff you think you are, you could still have a bad day, just like everybody else does. I mean, like, I don't know if it's raining by you, because we're both in Minnesota. It's rained all day today here, and I know that alone can kind of determine people's mood. I like the rain, so like it hasn't really bothered me much. I like to listen to like the pitter patter.
Yeah.
Um, it's like for me, it's not a big deal, but for somebody else, it could be like the biggest deal ever. And both attitudes are valid. And it's one of those things where it's like we don't know, unfortunately, until it happens. So, golf is one of these sports where you can play alone, and that's super powerful in of itself, right? It's something you can go do by yourself. You get to think on the golf course. You get to do X, Y, and Z all by yourself, and a lot of people enjoy it. I'll go play 9 holes by myself and have a ton of fun just because it's kind of me problem solving by myself and not having to rely on somebody being like, hey, how do I play this? How would you play this? It's, hey, I'm by myself. I'm on an island. Let's work through this. But on the flip side of that, it's also a sport that you can play alone and not always talk to somebody about it. Um, you had said something earlier about lessons you learn on the golf course are also lessons in life and vice versa. So I thought that was really powerful in of itself, but it's one of those things that I think more people should talk about it, especially in golf. I feel like nobody talks about it until it's too late. And if we can, help it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, along with, kind of referencing being able to hit a good shot and having a bad break in life, it just have always grown up thinking that the game of golf is such a good teacher of how to get through life. Um, being a sport where you can call a penalty on yourself if the ball moves and you go to move a leaf. I mean, just the little responsibilities, the dedication, how do you actually get better? How do you enjoy it more? And, for 99% of us, we're just going out there to enjoy it and have fun. And that's how life should be for everyone. And when you're out on the golf course and you're not enjoying it, you're not being able to have fun. Yeah, there's a competitive side of it, but you're probably struggling with things off the course as well. You're probably having a hard time with, whether it's your career or your relationship or your family. Um, so many of those things can translate on the course, even just in a fun round with your buddies. And I think being able to recognize some of those lessons that it teaches you about accountability, discipline, um, kind of hitting shots within your ability, learning how to play your game. Arnold Palmer had a great quote, swing your swing, right? Like everyone's going to go about things a little bit differently, but we can learn from each other. We can learn from our experiences. There's no difference about talking about, hey, I want to get more spin on my wedge shot, so I'm doing X, Y, and Z to generate that. Well, have that same conversation about what's going on in your personal life when you're out there for 4 hours. So you kind of alluded to it earlier, you want to find out more about us, more about our goals, and at the end of the day, I want to use the game of golf to help people cope with life, help them understand how we can work on both kind of simultaneously, how we can go about things with a little bit different approach, a little bit more positive attitudes. Um, Ideally, I'd like for the foundation to be able to, bring therapy on a golf course at some point. How can we get people outside doing activities, walking 9 holes with a licensed therapist and just being able to do a fun activity, learn something new, and kind of talk about life and struggles that they're going through. And we're kind of learning as we go and we're kind of rolling with things and we've had a lot of ups, we've had a lot of downs, and that's life and that's golf.
In a lot of ways, golf can be like a metaphor for life. You said to yourself, you can hit a great shot and get a bad bounce. I've hit, like, looking back at my golf, I've hit some shots that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I hit that so well. And like the sound of it, and like you feel it. And then like I can't find the ball after. So maybe I didn't hit it as well as I thought I did. But you have moments like that. And like to me, that is the most like discouraging thing on the golf course. And if that is my most discouraging thing on the golf course, I'm doing pretty well. in life, I would say. Obviously, there are things I wish I was doing better in life, but you go hit a bucket of balls. And, I'm not saying it's going to get better, but, as long as you're in a better mindset after, I think that's the strongest part. Um, or my biggest pet peeve is I hit a great shot and then my follow-up shot is like disastrous to the point where it's like I'd rather just like restart and never talk about it again. But that's not golf either. You roll with the punches, just like life, right? You wake up every morning, you pick yourself up and you just go. You have everything your best, but I know it's easier said than done. There are days where it's like I just want to lay in bed and not do anything. And those days are fine. It's called Saturday for all I care. Like I just don't do anything on Saturdays. Um, Although now that it's hopefully getting nice out, maybe I'll go play golf. I haven't played around of golf yet, admittedly. Um, I've got a little bit of FOMO, so please don't tell me you've played like 15 rounds already, because I might cry.
Just five.
Ah, not gonna cry, but I'm jealous. I feel like every day I don't work, it's been like cold or rainy, so have not hit it yet. But I do want to dive in to. You've been mentioning the foundation. It's called the ReRoll Foundation. Um, and it's for those impacted by mental health illnesses. Do you want to kind of dive into kind of how that works and where the money goes and kind of stuff like that? How you're using the foundation. I guess I'm not familiar with how foundations work, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, so we kind of wanted to do both at the same time. So I don't have a large multi-million dollar corporation that's donating to the foundation. You know,
Okay.
we haven't reached that level where the foundation is more or less a tax write-off.
Mm,
We probably never will. I have a few good buddies that do foundation work, but they have the support of a lot of corporations, and they're able to put on these huge events and drive in hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're not there, but hopefully one day we are there. So when we started this, we wanted to be able to create something, which is on the apparel and accessory side, that stands for something. We want when people see our gear or products, we want them to be conversation pieces. We want to start the conversation around what we stand for. And then on the foundation side, we had our first charity golf tournament last year. So we were honoring my former teammate, Matt Chamberlain, that passed away, as well as, I had another coworker in 22 take his own life. And then in 25, right before our tournament, we had someone that was going to participate take their life. So really what we're trying to do is create something that stands for, people that have been through stuff, people that are going through stuff. Um, Last year we hosted our tournament out at Brackett's Crossing in Lakeville. Um, and at the end of the day, we didn't make a lot of money, but we had 19 teams out there. We had another 15, 20 people join us for dinner. So we had in our first year, 100 people out at the event.
wow.
Um, this year, we're going to do it on July 6th. So could be a little hit or miss depending on how many people are up at the cabin, don't make it back in time. But we just wanted to really start the conversation, start doing the event. We hope to do other events such as maybe a 5K run here at some point, partner up with some um, indoor golf places throughout the winter, maybe put on some smaller events that way, and just really kind of bring the two together. And then, as I alluded to earlier, my hope with it is we can eventually generate enough funds on the nonprofit side that we can actually go in and help people pay for their therapy sessions, pay for golf lessons, help get them a set of clubs, and just kind of really mingle the two aspects of therapy and golf and talking about mental health conditions. So the stage where we're at right now, um, just trying to grow it organically. Word of mouth is huge.
Hmm.
We did the golf show in 25 when we first did our product launch, and that was an opportunity to speak with 400 people over those 3 days about what we do. And it wasn't just a transactional sale. Sure, people came up and they liked our gear, they liked our material, they wanted to buy a sweatshirt, but every single person we had the conversation with, this is our mission. Um, and that's where we kind of go back, where if we can help one person, we've been successful. We can help two people, even better. And just going day by day by day to connect with as many people as possible and let them know it's okay to go through things. It's okay to want to reach out and talk to someone. It's okay to, a lot of us guys, we don't want to go to a therapist office. But if we spend 4 hours on the golf course together, I'm probably going to know a lot about what you're going through and what you're dealing with. And you're not going to feel like, hey, I just opened up to someone I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, the tee box on hole one, we didn't know each other. But by the end of the round, we're sitting there having drinks afterwards, having a meal, whatever it may be. And you can't wait to get back out there again, regardless of how you played. Uh, so that's really what we're striving for. We'd love to get some more corporate sponsors to come into the event. We'd love to start raising more funds that way, but as long as we can keep hosting the event, as long as we have enough interest in there, that's our primary goal right now.
So, as somebody who has helped plan and host 4 golf events, yeah, 4, uh, kudos, because it's tough. Like that is one of the most like mentally training things to do in golf is to host an event and throw an event. Um, if it goes on this year, let me know. I would love to play. I love to participate. I think it's a great cause, and I've never played that course before, but I've heard it's pretty nice. So I'd love to get out there and play with really anybody. I don't know if I get Derek there, but even if I show up, I'll play. Let me know.
Yeah,
And
we'll
if you
find a team for you.
and if you end up wanting to do a 5K, let me know. I can see if I can use some of my connections to make that happen, or maybe we could get Brooks out there or something. I'm not quite sure how much pull I have or if that's allowed, but we'll see what we can do. Um, but yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. A lot of people, I don't know if they would view therapy as like a weak thing or like you're not as strong as somebody who doesn't go to therapy. I think the strongest people do go to therapy and then they, talk about their life candidly. To me, that's got to be the hardest thing in the world to do is kind of open up and say, "Hey, I am Dominic. This is what I believe in. This blah blah blah." Um, like Derek and I have a lot of heart to hearts with stuff, and I kind of view Derek as like my older brother. I am the oldest one. I don't have that buffer, I would say, right? I kind of learned through life the hard way, being the oldest child. So having Derek has really helped me kind of have that kind of older brother type deal. Um, but he and we've talked a lot about a lot of different things. We put a post out about some like the ice raids and everything going on in Minneapolis, and I remember I texted him. I'm like, should we say something? This is our backyard. They're kind of tormenting our people, and he goes, dude, you don't even have to ask. Let's do it. Let's be the reason people look up to us, and let's try to help the people that need help the most. So that's kind of where I wanted to do something different this year at the podcast and try to find companies that are standing for something other than, hey, I have this really cool idea and we want to sell it, which is all fine, right? Like that's more power to them, whatever. But if we can find accounts like you that are like, hey, we see golf as this vessel and we want to help people mentally, physically, or whatever using this vessel, I think that's where golf can be really powerful, and I think that's how sports in general can be really powerful. Like we were talking about a lot of sports beforehand with like the Wild and obviously the Wolves being really, really good right now, other than Dante and Ant going down for the, I mean Dante's done for the season. Ant, I mean there's a shot, you know. But I think what the Twins are doing with their foundation and they're building baseball fields and giving underprivileged kids a chance to play baseball in a team-oriented activity to teach them, team building skills and how to rely on other people, I think is really powerful. And I think golf is really powerful in the sense that you have to rely on yourself. And like you said, you penalize yourself when you feel like you should penalize yourself. I can't remember, but last year it was, I think it might have been to Heath or Akshay. They were like, "Hey, I grounded my club in the bunker. I should, I should score this." And everyone's like, "Why would you tell the official on yourself?" And it ended up costing them money because they weren't tied anymore. They're like went down
Yeah.
a placing. I can't remember which one it was, but they were like, it's an integrity thing. It's me holding myself accountable. It's them kind of knowing what they're worth and not being able to like sit right with things. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's where, this discussion's not always the easy part in life, but it's needed. And I think that's where people like you are doing a really good job with golf and using it as a way to help people. But you saying that you have to penalize yourself, I thought of that right away, and I thought that was one of the greatest like mainstream golf things I've seen in a long time, where a player is like, "Hey, I could have gotten away with this, but I felt like I did this," and obviously the repercussions were they didn't make as much money, but I mean, if you can't live on what they make per year, I think that's kind of on you, to be totally honest. Um, but that's how I view it. I do want to touch on your apparel because obviously that is one of the driving forces for the foundation. Obviously, 10% of every sale goes to the foundation, correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've named him, but I'm kind of obsessed with your bird. I don't know if he has a name or not, but does the logo have any inspiration for anything? I love him. I don't know his name. I feel like he's just a goofball and I love it. But does it tie into does it tie into mental health in any way, or is it just kind of a bird that plays golf in my mind?
Yeah, so I probably should have been diagnosed with like ADD or ADHD, but it was just something that I always drew on my notebooks in class.
Okay.
I wasn't really paying attention. And when we started it, I knew I wanted a symbol that kind of stood for something. And that's why we kind of went with it. Just, it kind of catches people's eye, kind of reminds you of Mr. Peanut with the top hat, but it's got a birdie on it for birdies.
Right.
People think it kind of looks like a penguin as well, but you know, it was just something to have fun. It was just something to be a conversational piece. And that's why when we kind of did our soft product line, sure, our first rollout with the golf show, we wanted to be a little flashy with it so people could start recognizing that symbol and then tie it to mental health. So we haven't named him yet. I don't know if he'll get a name at any point, but yeah, it's kind of catchy in a way.
I love him. Again, it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't have to mean anything, but so at first I thought it was a penguin with a hat, just from
Yep.
like, and then I clicked on it. I'm like, it's definitely not a penguin. It's definitely a bird. I didn't get the Mr. Peanut thing until you said it, and now I can't unsee it
Yeah.
in a good way. Um, but 10% goes to the foundation. And is that everything, including like the head covers and the hats, or is it just like the hoodies and the polos?
It's everything we do.
Okay.
So when we started it, we wanted to do it kind of on three different pillars. So we wanted to do apparel and accessories. We want to get into coaching at some point here, and then we want to have the mental health foundation. So everything that we do in reroll on the company side kicks a portion of the proceeds over to the foundation to help pay for things. So whether it's hats and apparel that we gave out at the event last year, or towels, or raffle items, whatever it may be, we use those proceeds from the for-profit side to donate to the nonprofit side.
So I'm I'm on the website, right? Like I'm looking at everything. You've got a good variety. And I mean, you've got two polos, three hoodies. I'm sorry, four hoodies. I'm a sucker for golf hoodies. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. Um, but people keep coming out with golf hoodies, and here I am buying every golf hoodie. I don't have
Yeah.
room for all these golf hoodies, but here I am. I just can't stop myself. Um, the pricing is super competitive. It's really nice. Are you planning on doing any more apparel, or are you kind of sticking with the core for a little bit of the two polos and then the hoodies?
So we wanted to figure out what people liked in our products. So initially, when I started Reroll, we were just ordering stuff from like Custom Ink, and it was great. We had a lot of stuff to give away, but it didn't feel like our own stuff.
Hmm.
We didn't have any real say in the material. We didn't have any say in the fits. So then we linked up with some manufacturers overseas. So met with them in September of 24, and just kind of had a lot of back and forth, different samples being sent out, tweaks on the design, all those different kind of product testing to get ready for our first launch. And what we found out is our polos, people love our polos because they have a built-in cooling fabric. The only
Oh.
thing that I overlooked is I made them like a slim fit athletic kind of fit to them, and not everyone likes that feeling. So in our next product rollout, we're going to have a few more colors. We're going to have a few more sizing options. And then we're going to open up probably three or four more different of the golf polos. And that's going to be kind of our next product launch. We'll have a couple things in there as well. Um, but yeah, it's learning day by day. So I do this all on the side.
Hmm.
It's not our full-time job. It's not our main source of income. So we've had a couple setbacks where I haven't had as much time to do the product development for next line yet, but that should be coming out probably fall of this year, is we'll have kind of our second product launch. So I'll let you know when that stuff comes out. But the the biggest hits have been these lightweight polos. And you alluded to it, our price point's super competitive. Again, we're not doing this to make money. We're doing this to raise awareness, make it affordable for people, and get kind of the foundation aspect out there. So I would compare this hoodie that you can buy for 49 bucks equal to brands like Peter Millar and some of those higher end brands that you'd see in a pro shop for 115, 120 bucks. Um, we're selling them for 59. And that's why we don't do a lot of wholesaling. We're not in a lot of pro shops, just because we want to keep that price point down for people right now, and continue to grow it organically.
Well, the good part. about Minnesota is you now have all summer to product test because it should be getting nice soon, unless it snows again, which I wouldn't put it past Minnesota at this point to give us
Nope.
a little something, something, you know. Um, but you've got all summer to test that thing out. So, fun enough, that's the exact hoodie I was looking at when I was talking about looking at it. That green is killer.
And it's great for the Timberwolves, big playoff game tonight. So we got this green one, we got this blue one. We've actually sold out of a few sizes of this, so I can't wait to get more of these in. And then we'll have a few more color options coming out, but we really like the fit of these. We really like the material. Um, they all kind of have that fun dancing bird, as we like to call it, on the inside of the print.
So
And then go
I didn't
for
mean
it.
to interrupt you. I love inside print stuff like that. If you ever need inspiration for like a fun print inside of like a golf hoodie, Van Saint does a great job, and they're out in like Georgia, Atlanta area. But
Okay.
uh, they all so like I think my hoodie's hanging up, but it's all black, and then the inside is just like a it's like somebody dumped a bunch of paint on it. And it's one of those things where, like, on the golf course, it looks nice, but then as you get closer to me, you're like, oh, he's got some like stuff in his hood, and um, so I love when companies are like kind of playing on the outside, and then they use the inside to tell a story. I think, whoa, that was weird. I'm still getting used to the whole cinematic camera of a MacBook.
Okay.
I don't get motion sickness, but that made me a little sick. Um, I don't want to turn it off, so we're just gonna roll with it. Um, but I love when companies do that. I feel like it says a lot about the personality too, especially because I feel like a lot of golf companies are either like real stuffy and in it for the money, or they're real fun, put the personality out there, and just kind of do what you're doing. Where, when you said you were sold out of some sizes in the blue one, I was pumped because I'm like, that means people are finding you. It means they're liking the product enough to keep buying it and stuff like that. So, um, I'm a sucker for golf hoodies, man. I think those knock it out of the park. And then even if you want something loud, you've got the dancing bird all over print on the outside of the white one, and that thing is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost wore it tonight just to get the print out there and get the recognition, but it can be a little distracting at times. Um, this one I actually really like because it's hard to see, but this is a very heavy sweatshirt. It's 400 plus grams. So when you put it on, it almost feels kind of like a weighted blanket, super comfortable. And then the whole inside is this very soft fleece.
Okay.
So kind of going back, we wanted to create a few products that you might wear outside of the golf course. So we have this one that's kind of the cozy comfort one. And then we have kind of our black one here that is 100% cotton. It's kind of reminds me of a Carhartt sweatshirt in a way. It's very durable. We call it the working man's, and just a clean sweatshirt. So get this one. Don't throw it in the washer on high heat because it's going to shrink a little bit. But again, we just wanted to have a few things that, if you don't play golf or you're not into that lightweight sweatshirt, you have some options with us.
And the heavier hoodie, I believe I've heard like the weighted blankets and weighted hoodies and like the weighted sweatpants are supposed to help with the mental health aspect of things, correct? Um,
Correct.
like I said, I work remote, I work from home, and a lot of times I don't really get dressed. I wear like the sweatpants, so I started wearing like the comfort sweatpants for that reason. I don't know if I feel the weightedness of them. Just I don't know. I don't really notice anything, but um, was that a reason you made one hoodie kind of heavier, or was it just because it's cold in Minnesota, we need to stay warm in the winter because it hits like 35 below every year?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So. when we when I got it from the supplier at first, I was like, this is a little bit too big and bulky for the golf course. But again, we wanted our products to be accessible off the golf course as well. And the more I wore it, I realized, hey, I can have a t-shirt on, go outside in November and be perfectly okay. Um, and then and sitting up on the couch watching a movie at night or something, you kind of want to fall asleep in it.
I mean, it's kind of the dream, right? Like, especially here. Like, if you can go outside in November and just like the hoodie and a pair of jeans, like it must be pretty nice. Um, I went to I went to the Bulls game when the Bulls were in town and it was like 40 below that day if you remember that stretch in like January.
Yep.
It was not nice. And I went to that game and I was like, my God, like if I could have something just a little bit warmer, it would have been really nice. So I can see like with that hoodie, I mean, like you hit the nail on the head, like just laying around the house, quick errands. But I mean, for Minnesotans, I mean Midwesterners, like Wisconsin, as much as I hate Wisconsin, but like they would love it because it's cold everywhere, right? So stuff like that, I think you're doing a great job building a brand that isn't just a golf brand, which to me is ideal because then you'll see it casually and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of golf companies fail because they try too hard to be a golf company versus an everything, everyday type wear company. So, that's just kind of me thinking out loud though. Like some of the companies I really enjoy, I wear casually. Like Buena Gente, Pare. I just buy their t-shirts. I don't really own any of their polos for that reason.
Yeah, and over the last few years, we've seen a lot more accessibility to sourcing your own products. And I think that's why you see so many kind of pop up apparel companies, right? It's not too difficult to link up with a manufacturer overseas these days. A lot of it's done over computer, Google Translate, whatever it may be. So we didn't want to necessarily design products that you see everywhere else. And that's the incorporation of those two different sweatshirts. I personally have worn them on the golf course. I can play fine in them. They're not, big bulky jackets. Are you going to see that sweatshirt out on the PGA Tour as a cold weather option? No, probably not. Um, but again, we're not necessarily going after elite golfers or trying to create an elite golfing brand. We're trying to tie the two together. And that's what I'm really looking forward to in our next product launch. We have a rain jacket that I'm working on developing that has that same soft fleece inside feel to it, but it's waterproof. It's a little more form fitting, so you don't have loose clothing when you're trying to play golf. So we'll have that coming out this fall as well, and kind of that active leisure niche kind of going after that stuff, but also the everyday run of the mill. Um, we'll have some good t-shirts coming out that are going to be really comfortable to wear in every walk of life. And we're going to have both. We're going to have some that are very kind of subtle, like our blade polos. It just has the bird on it. It's a two-button blade polo. I have a lot of people that will wear this to work. Um, Super comfortable. Again, kind of has that built-in cooling factor. So even touching it now, it has a cool touch to it. And then more on the loud side of things is, just like our sweatshirt, our dancing bird shirt. People like to let loose a little bit on the golf course. Are we going to have a bunch of inappropriate stuff all over the shirts? Probably not. But we want people to have fun with this stuff. We want people to want to wear it. We want it to be good quality, and we want it to be affordable for pretty much everyone out there.
So before we switch gears, I need to know about the cooling fabric in the shirt. I'm always hot. Like without a doubt, I'm always warm. And going back to the hoodie thing quick, if you've ever played golf in like October in the Midwest or Minnesota specifically, you would know about having a hoodie in your golf cart is like the best thing ever. Um, I played a couple years ago in October and it rained. It was super sunny and then we made the turn and it just rained and rained and rained. I played 9 holes in the super heavy hoodie and it was like the best decision of my life. So for people who don't like hoodies, don't knock it till you need it. It's one of those things where everyone's like, "Oh, I can't play with the hood." You're not good enough to play without a hood, anyways. Just put the hoodie on, stay warm, chase the ball around, don't get struck by lightning. That was my goal that day. But I need to know about this cooling fabric. Is it like sweat activated? Is it, you know what I mean? Like I've seen some armbands like that when you sweat they cool down.
So it's not sweat related. Um, to be 100% honest with you, I don't know why it has that feeling to it. It was something that was brought to our attention by
Sure.
our suppliers. And I thought that was just a really cool element to have. I haven't seen it before, and we just kind of rolled with it for kind of two polos to distinguish ourselves a little bit.
I've seen it the other way. So the fabric would heat up as it gets wet. So Mizuno, they have this thing called Breathe Thermal. I don't know if they still do it or not, but they had these running tights and shirts that when you sweat, they would heat up. So they were super nice in the fall and the winter. And I would always wear them as like a base layer, like if we're ice fishing or whatever, because you got to stay
Yeah.
warm with all the beer you're consuming. Um, so I've only seen it to where it would warm up. So when you said cooling fabric, I was like that's I'm bigger dude, a little bit more husky. I'm always warm. I'm always toasty. And I recently cut my hair like last week. So I'm hoping I'm not as hot on the golf course. 'Cause it used to be real bad to where like my head would get hot. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I know, believe it or not, this is cut. Like it used to be real bad. Um, you can laugh. It's okay.
No, I had the same thing. In college my hair was down to my shoulders, 2 years ago it was that long. So I've definitely been there where you get done playing golf and it's like you just took a shower because you're so warm up there.
For reference, I cut like 6 inches off. So like it was there was a lot of hair. Like you watch last week's episode and you're like, damn, he's got a ton of hair. And it felt like a ton of hair, especially in July, and I'm not a morning golfer, so it's like I'd rather play in the afternoon when it's hot because I'm stupid. Um, so yeah, so in cooling fabric, I was just like, that's almost a game changer. I don't know why don't more companies do that?
I'm not sure. I thought this was such a unique product when we got it. And again, I'm surprised I haven't seen more companies incorporate this. Now, again, I don't come from an apparel development side of things, so I don't know all the nuances of how they make it feel that way or if there's any, sort of sweat activation for the heating side of things that I couldn't tell you. But
I don't know either. I know a lot of people who do make apparel and they have not said a word about this. So now I'm gonna message everybody and be like, you guys need to make this with this cooling fabric so people don't get heat stroke on the golf course.
what I'll do is when we get done here, I'll throw one in the mail for you, and then you can get your hands on it and feel it yourself and let me
I,
know what you think of it.
I'll yell at every other company, be like, you guys need to make yours colder.
It'd be kind of cool to do in our sweatshirts too, because when we're going through this, we want our clothing to be appropriate in the sense. Few years back, we lost, a great player in the state of Minnesota to sun cancer. Johnny was 30. 5 years old. You might have saw some of it on the news. He was really close with Eric Van Rooyen. Um, and yeah, he ended up passing away to skin cancer at a very young age. So in our next product launch, we're going to make sure that all of our products are, sun shirts. And that's why we want kind of the lightweight hoodies. I love that golf courses allow you to wear hoodies on the golf course now, and it's not, frowned upon. Because even up around your neck, you kind of have the hood there that protects some of that sun. So everything that we do kind of has a reason behind why we're trying to do what we're doing.
Well, I mean, I love hoodies. I'm wearing this is a golf hoodie. Like it's super low key. I'm a big fan. You can wear these all day casually. I've had this on since this was like delivered today, so I've not taken it off. Um, they know who they are. I already sent them a message, and then I had to that it's been a whole thing. It's been a day, and I'm like, should my vest have this logo? And he goes, no, I need that back. So I had to send that. It, it's been a day, and I'm just like, dude, like, what are we doing? But anyways, you asked me a question, and that not many people ask, and I wanted to kind of inform you and maybe the newer listeners. Um, you had kind of asked the story of the podcast of Derek and I, um, and not many people ask us questions outside of that. Obviously, it's our show. It's not at all frowned upon. I like answering questions, but um, for newer listeners who just started listening, I'm Dominic. Uh, Derek is the other host, and no, he's not a co-host, but at this point, he might be a co-host, respectfully. But Derek and I met in community college. We both suck at math, so anything with numbers is really bad for us, which is kind of hard when you run a podcast because it's all numbers. Um, so Derek and I just suck at math. And that's how we met. He's quite a bit older than I am, so I give him a hard time for that, but that's kind of what younger brothers are supposed to do, I guess. I don't know. Um, but we started playing those like $1 DraftKings duels for golf against each other. So we just bet $1, and whoever won would get the dollar. As in Derek took my dollar a lot. Um, but that kind of evolved into us playing golf together and kind of just hanging out together. And we were playing, actually, funny enough, we were playing like I think it was 18 at Majestic. It might have been. I think we were playing the Crossroads. And we're putting our bags away, and he goes, "Hey, I have this idea." And this was 2019. He goes, "I have this idea." And I'm like, "Oh shit, this is not going to be good." Um, he goes, "You're very opinionated." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of am." Didn't quite understand what that word meant in terms of like the weight of the word. Um, and he goes, "And you tend to like pick a hill and die on it." And I'm like, "Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. If I believe in something strong enough, it's kind of my belief. It's how I was raised." Um, he goes, "And you talk a lot." I'm like, "Yeah. What are we getting at?" He goes, "We started a podcast." I'm like, "That is stupid." Closed my door and drove away. I'm like, "We're not doing that." And then 2020 hit, COVID happened. Um, there's nothing else to do, right? Here, I don't know if you remember, but they opened up golf courses here before they opened up anything else. And then to sit and go play golf with your buddy, you'd have to sit like with the screen between you, or Derek and I played a course and they made us each take our own cart. And I'm like, you're kidding. There's two of us. I was like, okay. Um, I texted him like, hey, do you still want to do this? And he goes, I think it's a great idea. I think it'll be super fun. Um, and I said, cool. I got the Instagram domain name so nobody else could take our brilliant idea. Um, and then the first episode released, I think it was the week of the Masters in 2021. It was when we launched our first one. And I'm telling you that story because there was a lot of kind of self-doubt in doing all that, you know. Um, there's an element of putting yourself out there that people don't quite understand when it comes to social media and the podcast world and, you know, you owning your own company. There's an element of being vulnerable, and that scares the shit out of people. It scares me, right? Like I am kind of chronically online, as the young people put it. Um, and looking back at it, we did the first episode 4 times. We just didn't like the first four. So the first one we released was like the first one we were like, ah, this was fun. We enjoyed it. And then by the second episode, we were singing "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees, talking about The Office. So we got comfortable quick, and then it
Yeah.
transitioned into um us kind of putting our faces to it, right? Like obviously the guests would see our faces, but we like wouldn't post our faces online. It wasn't that we were like embarrassed about it, but Derek and I had to sit down and be like, do we want to become kind of these talking heads or the faces of this or whatever? And I've never really had an issue with it. Um, just kind of my mindset is, you know, if people like us, great, perfect. And if they don't, they're never gonna listen again, and that's okay, right? Like nobody's gonna be like, "Wow, Dom's hair sucks. I'm gonna watch next week and like nobody, you know what I mean?" So like the way I thought about it is if people see the way I look and they compare it to the way Derek looks, they're gonna be like, "Wow, Dom's the weirdo," and be like, "Okay, I've been that way my whole life. I've had long hair since third grade. Like, you can't really say anything that's not been said to me about my hair." Um, but the more I looked at it, the more I wanted to put myself out there from like a mental side of things to where it's kind of helped me be more like secure about like myself and stuff like that. It's the point where it's like I'm posting videos of me actually playing golf. Like people see my swing, they see my outfit, they see everything. And I remember the last time I did it for a company. Shout out Bomb Tech Golf. They're great. Uh, cool company. Willis is phenomenal. He's like the coolest dude. He lives in Vermont. And I guess I didn't correlate Vermont with snow, but if you think we get a ton of snow, they might get more snow than we do, which means I'm
Right.
never gonna move to Vermont. Um, and you know, hair's kicking. I've got shorts on. I've got a t-shirt on, just playing, you know, 9 holes. And everyone was like so loving in the comments and so caring and just like so like friendly to the point where I'm like, you know what? I made the right choice. Put myself out there. I don't view it as taking a risk per se, but it's definitely been one of those, you know, like we're talking about mental health, where it's definitely one of those like confidence building things to where I look back on it and I'm like, why were we worried about anything? Why were we worried about what people are gonna think? At the end of the day, we're just a little Instagram page who posts about golf. Obviously, Derek's page is quite a bit bigger at like 160K or whatever Save Far's at right now. Um, but the good has outweighed the bad by far. I mean, we work with the 3M Open every year, and it's been a phenomenal relationship. I'm upset that Mike stepped down as tournament director, but I loved getting to work with Mike, and I'm excited to work with the next guy or woman, whoever it may be. But that wouldn't have happened without putting ourselves out there. So, you know, talking about mental health, it's scary, right? You know, you've lost a lot of people. And that's something that I hope I never have to experience and something I hope my brother never has to experience or Derek ever has to experience. But to those listening who, you know, may struggle with something, put yourself out there. Somebody's gonna sit there and be like, you know what? I appreciate that and I look up to you for that. So that's kind of the history of the pod. Um, everybody we've had on for a reason, and there's only been one that has not been great. So out of 191 episodes, 190 of them have been a resounding success. And we're not doing it for money. We don't make money doing this. Uh, we're just kind of doing it because one, we love golf, and two, personally, I love people. I think people from all different walks of life and backgrounds are the reason one, golf is so great, and two, just like people as a whole are phenomenal. I've got really close friends in California, I've got really close friends in Arizona, I've got buddies in Boston, which I never thought I would say out loud because I've never been to Boston, and it social media, like we were talking about how young kids have it tough with social media, and unfortunately that's led to a higher suicide rate from cyberbullying and stuff like that. It can definitely be bad. I definitely see that argument, but there's also so much good you can do if you're willing to put yourself out there and have a positive mindset and kind of surround yourself with the right people. So, to everybody, thank you. I have so much fun doing this every week. Um, to the companies I work with on a weekly basis, I have nothing but good things to say. Four Bros made the logo. John and Trev, geniuses. I love both those guys to death. All the companies we get to work with, Kingsman, uh, Duffing Up, all those people. I mean, nothing but good things. Los Calferos. But yeah, that's the story of the podcast in a very short, condensed form. I don't know if you have any more questions for me. I'm more than happy to ask them or answer them, but um, it's a similar mission to you, just in a different form factor.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. You have to learn how to grow and overcome some fears, and whether that's putting yourself on social media or, starting something new or raising your hand where you go, hey, something's just not right.
Mm,
And you're willing to reach out and get help. Um, you know, I know a lot of people, we had our first event last year and there was people January and February messaging like, "Hey, are you guys doing the event again?" And just knowing that people wanted to come back was a huge boost to everything else that I had personally going on in my life, whether it's, finance related or career related, or, we just had a boy, he's turning 3 in May, so adjusting to becoming a parent. Um, you're going to go through these moments in life where you're a little unsure of yourself, you're a little unsure of what's next, but you can't fold to that pressure. You can't hide away from it because, like you said, the good's going to outweigh the bad. And I think you hit the nail right on the head as far as, there is so much good that can come out of stuff like this. There could be a person listening to your conversation and you might say something that just resonates with them and that kind of gets them out of their little funk or gets them excited to go play golf. Um, kind of alluding back to what we talked about earlier, there's so many valuable lessons that this game can teach us. And you probably have experienced it yourself. You probably know people that have experienced this. They can go out and they can suck the entire day. They can be topping balls into water, hitting balls out of bounds, looking for balls in the woods, striking out, trying to get the cart girl's number, whatever it may be. They hit that one shot, and when you're sitting down on the patio after the round, that's all they talk about. Remember that shot I hit on 15? Remember that birdie I made on 16? It only takes one thing to change that mindset into, hey, I want to go back out there and do this again. And sometimes we just got to find that in our own personal lives where it's, yeah, things may not be going as planned. You may have a couple bogeys, a double, a quad, whatever it may be. But soon enough, if you stay with it and you keep trying to do your best and you maintain a good attitude and learn how to put some of those bad negative shots or bad events that happened in your life behind you, you're going to find a reason you want to get back out there again. And I think you guys are doing a great job with this show. Like you said, you're not doing this because you hope one day your podcast is on Netflix. If it gets there, great. But if that's the only purpose you're doing it for, you're probably going to fail more often than not. But if you have the right intent behind it, you have the right charisma, you have the right confidence in yourself to do something new and overcome some of those obstacles, whether it sells out to Netflix or not, you guys are going to look back on this and be like, hey, I'm glad I took that risk. I learned, not only something about other people and what they're doing, but I learned something about myself as well. And I think we're a lot alike in that way.
Some of the best laughs I've ever had are on the golf course. Or like you were talking, like, you know, I topped every ball in the water. I couldn't hit a shot straight, but I hit that one shot and you just go back to it over and over and over. And you just sit there and you smile. One of my good friends, I won't tell her story because it is her story to tell, and I'm not that person. Um, she was in kind of a messy relationship. He got her into golf, and then through body language, I was like, "Oh, you hate it out here. Like, just not having fun." Like, she hated it, but athletically, she has like the ability to be good at golf. But she was so mentally drained from the kind of bad relationship that she would quit after like 6 holes because like he would coach her, and it wasn't really coaching. You know what I mean? It was more
Yeah.
just like you're wrong, and I'm like, that's not how you coach somebody. Like, I'm not very old, and I know that. Um, so now that she's out of that relationship, we've played golf a handful of times, and it's like she's smiling. Yes, we both lose our balls in the woods, and then we have to go find the golf balls. But she'll hit a shot, and she goes, "Oh my God, did I do that?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't. That came off of your club. I just stood here. I didn't coach you. I didn't do anything. That's all you." And it kind of brightens your day, right? Um, my friend Abby, if you're not following Northern Greens, follow Northern Greens. It's a women's golf club,
Okay.
and her whole goal is to get women into golf, and it's a Minnesota-based thing. She lives in Minneapolis, and she does these co-ed events every so often. So I always try to go to the co-ed event. Um, and I ended up taking my friend the last time just so she could talk to other women about golf and just kind of be in like a place to be herself and play golf. I've never seen somebody like blossom or open up the way she did in like a half hour. She was like chit-chatting with the women we were paired with. Um, she had a lot of great shots and she was like, wow, like this is what golf is. And I'm like, this is what golf is. So I've always told people you got to give golf a couple tries before you really say you don't like it. Just me talking about it has made some of my friends interested. So I've been lucky enough to acquire multiple sets of golf clubs. So uh, the good news is I can take people golfing that have never played golf before. So that is kind of what the podcast has allowed Derek and I to do is to take people who have never played golf before and take away the I don't have a club excuse. Well, I have clubs for you. Shut up or buck up, right? Like I don't have golf balls. I can give you golf balls that you can lose. Don't worry, because I'll lose just as many. And that's kind of the goal with the podcast is to get people interested and to maybe one day people be like, "Hey, I played golf because of you." And I think that'd be a really cool and kind of surreal for a full circle moment that has not happened yet. Maybe one day, and I don't care if it does or doesn't happen. I'm not gonna judge my success or failure based on that, but um that's kind of the beauty of golf and how it can improve kind of the mental health side of things. And you see a lot of laughs, a lot of smiles. We were playing in California last spring. It was like we were there end of May, kind of into June type, so spring into summer, and we were playing Tierra Rajada Golf Club in SoCal. Beautiful course. Unreal. They told me not to venture off into the woods because the snakes will bite me. And I said, okay, don't want to get bit by a snake on my vacation. Sounds like a great plan. And the whole trip we were there, I knew as soon as I came back, I was going to get laid off. Like, back of my mind the entire time. I just knew it. And they had actually called and told me that. They're like, when you get back, it's not gonna, you won't have a job for much longer. And I said, okay, we're gonna roll with it. And the best part about the trip was I didn't think about that once. And we played golf a handful of times, and there was one hole in particular, and it was me and Brendan from Duffin Up in the cart together, which dynamic duo right there if I've ever seen one. He and I are just like 1A, 1B, two peas in a pod. Um, he's like, "Hey, the tee box is only here. I think you should hit this." And I said, "Okay." I usually don't take advice from other people. I just kind of hit what I hit. Was not a great hit. So I'm going into the second shot in a par three blind. Cannot see. All I can see is like the very like tip of the flag. That's how big I have to hit up this hill. And I think it was like 40 yards, but it was like straight up in the air. Like it's just something ridiculous on hole two. I hit it and I just hear screaming. And I'm like, oh my God, did it go in? Did Brendan get bit by a snake? Did Brendan get the cart girl's number? Like, did he not strike out? Come to find out, I hit like the shot of my life. And it was, I shit you not, like that far from like holing out from like a blind shot. And I smiled the entire round. And I think I broke 100. Like, it was not like one of those shots you like write home about or one of those rounds. But that one shot alone, I was like, I don't care if I get fired or laid off, whatever. I hit a great shot. My friends were there to see me. I bought a GoPro, so I was kind of vlogging the whole thing. Of course, nobody sees it because I didn't set the GoPro up properly. Who thinks they're gonna hit that shot?
Right.
Um, but mentally, that entire day, I was sky high. I was like, this is the best feeling ever. And I don't think I had a single birdie that day, but I saved par. Derek didn't have to fire me from save par. It was perfect. Um, but to me, that is kind of the beauty of golf and being able to use it as an outlet is I don't remember anything else from that day because we were drinking and I was hitting the tequila pretty hard, but that shot has kind of stuck with me and I was just like on cloud nine that entire day. So when people talk about what golf can do for you, golf can do that. And it's truly one of those sports to where it's unlike anything else because it's a team in some aspects, but you're very much your own player, coach, whatever. So I thought that was an unreal feeling. And it's something I still look back on and I smile, even though it's been almost a year. I need to get back out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, unreal course, but I thought that was very fitting for this.
Well, so I've been in construction sales for the bulk of the last 10 years and had the good fortune of taking a lot of, project managers or job soups or whoever it is kind of out to the golf course, entertain them a little bit. And the one that sticks out in my mind is playing with a guy named Dennis. He couldn't hit a golf ball to save his life. We tried, he'd sit there, he'd swing, whip, we try and get him pointers. He couldn't do it. And he could have easily let that blow up the whole day, not only for himself, but for other people. So what he would do is he'd watch us all tee off, he'd try and hit a ball or two off the tee. And then he would just pick up, he would go to the green, he'd drop the ball at the farthest point from the pin, and he would just try and putt out. And he ended up making about 340 plus foot putts in one day. And he was the happiest guy I've ever seen on the golf course. And I think that story has a little lesson in there where, you don't have to compare yourself to other people. You don't have to have this, keeping up with the Joneses mentality. I'm a scratch. If he went out there and he's like, I got to hit every shot like Cory, he's going to have a miserable experience. But he plays within his own game. He's learning as he goes, and he's still able to find a way to enjoy it. And that's what I love about this game. There's so many great things that you can learn just by getting out there, meeting different people, going through difficult situations with yourself. Learning how to set goals, work towards those goals, learning how to improve. Um, you know, if you walk, go out there and walk, you're getting good exercise in, you're taking care of yourself by putting yourself out there, but you're also enjoying and learning about yourself. And it just it's a game that I absolutely love and have been blessed. I've played a lot of sports growing up. Um, but it's always been that thing where if I'm going through something or struggling with something, it's like, okay, I'm just going to go to the golf course for a few hours. I'm going to hit some putts. I'm going to throw on my headphones. I'm going to hit the range for a little bit, and I'm going to allow my focus to be on that and away from everything else. And you come back feeling refreshed and recharged. And, that's why I want to introduce the game to more people. And ever since COVID, it's got very popular. Um, but I think we can keep growing it. I think we can keep using it as a way to help people learn more about themselves and life in general.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more. It's one of those things where people are now saying to shrink the game because you can't get tee times or anything, and I'm like, well, you just go play a different course, right? Like, obviously, we're lucky enough here in Minnesota. We've got a ton of courses. I think we have the most golfers per capita is Minnesota. And, you said it earlier, we only get a few months out of the year. I think we appreciate golf more than anybody else in the country because we only get golf, for lucky April or March through like middle October. So like, that's not a very big window compared to some of these other states where you can play golf year round or, whatever. Obviously, we can go indoors, but it's not nearly the same. Or in my opinion, it's not nearly as fun to play indoors and hit at a screen. I don't know. To me, the winter's my time off to like let my body like not feel like I just ran into a boulder because I
Yeah.
probably don't swing right. Um, but getting people into golf's super fun. I one of my friends wants to go, and I don't think she's ever held a golf club other than like swing it at one of her ex-boyfriends. Um, so that'll be interesting. But her kid just turned 1, and I want to get him into golf. Like, so I want to get him one of like the little baby sets of clubs just to be a nuisance for mom and dad. But um, I want to start him young. That way, when I'm old, I have a golfing buddy, even though he's not my kid, because I don't know if I'm ever gonna have kids, and that's fine. But if I can be a bad influence to one kid, it's gonna be that one. That way, he gets into golf and spends all of mom and dad's money. Um, but I do wanna ask you, we do have rapid fire questions, and I'm really curious about how you're gonna answer these based on the conversations we've been having. Um, and they're not very in depth, so don't feel like you're gonna have to like have another heart to heart with me because it's not at all what it is. But lately, I've been having a really fun time, and I know last week it kind of stirred up some commotion in the comments because Luke said lob wedge, and I believe Luke could probably do this with a lob wedge after speaking to him. Um, if you could play 18 holes with just one club, excluding your 7 iron, because that's cheating, what would it be?
Well, why do you have to exclude the 7 iron? Come
Because
on.
when we first started asking the question, everybody said 7 iron. It's kind of because it's one of those clubs that is kind of it's like in the middle. It's a good length, but it's also short enough to where you could not blast it on a par three, but it's also long enough to where it gives you a chance on a par five. Um, that's just everybody said the same answer, and we got real bored of it real quick. So we're excluding the 7 iron. Um, Personally, I would do like my 60 degree just for like shits and giggles
Yeah.
or like a 2 iron just for shits and giggles, but it's not about me
Um, I would probably have to go with probably my 6 iron. Just again, kind of middle of the pack. You can chip it if you need to chip it. You can putt out with it. You can get some length out the tee. If I was going for scoring, it'd be a 6 iron. If I was going for fun, it'd be a driving iron. Um,
Okay.
Trying to hit those short little punch shots with it would be a lot of fun, kind of interesting in and around the greens.
So
But
I
Tin
carry
Cup.
a
I mean, Tin
I
Cup is the reason why everyone says 7 iron.
yeah. I carry it's an 18 degree, so I think it equates to like a 2 iron, but it's driving iron. So I have one of those in my bag at all times. And I always say that one because I know if I top it, it'll roll far enough on like a par three to at least be semi close to where it's like, okay, whatever. But I know if I hit it center mass and I hit it correctly, it's a driving iron. So it gives me a shot on a par five. I've
Yeah.
also hit a couple shots with it to where people look at me and go, what the hell did you just do? We were playing Troy Burn and I don't remember what hole it was, but I hit this like perfect like stinger slice type thing. I no idea. Couldn't see the hole, but I knew we were far enough away to where a 2 iron is probably the play out of my bag. And just low and it like curved around and just kind of rolled to, like the middle of the fairway to give me like a short kind of like chip in to the green. And everyone stopped and looked at me. They're like, did you do that? I'm like, I guess so. I don't know where it is. I can't see it yet because I'm down below. So again, ever since then, I'm like, I need a 2 iron. It's just my club now.
It's a fun club.
Although when I first started playing golf at a young age, I had a 1, 2, and 3 iron in my bag. So for me, looking down at it and seeing like a butter knife and like a straight club, I guess like for me, it's not unnatural. But I know some people they don't like how kind of like a 90-degree angle driving irons can be. Like sometimes it's daunting. I don't know. To me, it's kind of normal.
Yeah, I play a lot with my 3 iron still. Not a big hybrid guy.
I tried one. Not no. I agree with you. I can't do it. It might have been the one I tried, but I feel like it shoved my hands too far forward, and was not comfortable with it.
See, I'm kind of old school in the mindset of they're talking about like the golf rollback and how
Hmm.
to kind of make the game more challenging again because all these courses are just taking out their trees and lengthening it so you can kind of bomb it wherever you want. I think we do a equipment kind of standard. So take like the wood bat in baseball, right? You can use aluminum bat all the way up through college. You get into the pros, now you're using a wood bat. I'd like to see more professional tournaments have a standard as far as these hybrid and game improvement clubs. Make all the pros play with pure blades.
Okay.
You get 1, 3, and 5. You get your wedges, but no hybrids, no different 4 irons in there, no different 5 irons, and kind of bring it back to a ball strikers game versus a smash it and go hit a lob wedge.
I think that'd be fun for like a couple events to start out with, just to kind of see. I do enjoy kind of, I know it's kind of a hot take, but like I enjoy watching Bryson and his mad scientist mind make these weird ass golf clubs that
Yeah.
don't make sense to me, but in his brain he's like, oh, it's more aerodynamic and the weight is better and blah blah blah. I find that fascinating to see how they can kind of manipulate these clubs with lead tape or in his case 3D printing and I find that super duper interesting in the game of golf because that's not something anybody would have ever thought when they first started playing golf, right? I think that's super cool to see. I also understand what you're saying though. Like, before we were recording, I was telling you I don't like links courses. I don't like not having any trees around me. It feels like I understand that's like the purest form of golf. I like trees. I like feeling like I'm alone and secluded in this like wilderness area, but there's a golf course. I don't know. To me, that's more therapeutic and fun, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't like that courses are like removing trees or whatever. Like I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Augusta that removed a tree semi recently. Um, no, it wasn't Augusta. They had a tree fall. There was one course recently where they took a tree out of the tee box, and now it's just like everybody just bombs it, and you're just like, it's not even hard anymore. So, I agree for the pros though. I think for the amateurs, they should leave it because golf's already really hard.
Oh yeah. I that's why I kind of reference like the college baseball aspect of things. Like when you have a hybrid or you're seeing 7 woods and 9 woods, it's great, but it also kind of takes away from the original design of the course.
Sure.
You go back to a lot of the famous shots in history, and it's, you know, Ben Hogan's 2 iron or 1 iron that he was hitting. And that would be cool to see again because I do think some of the improvements in the clubs allow for mishits to be less penalizing. I don't really care about the distance the golf ball is going, but I care about are they hitting the ball pure or not? And that would just be interesting. I mean, I'd love to see a tournament where they go out and play with hickory shafts and wounded golf balls from the 1930s just
That'd
to
be
kind of
cool.
compare.
That'd be super cool. Be like, hey guys, you leave your clubs in your rental car. We got these like hickory sticks for it to go whack around. And if it breaks, we can make you another one out of the tree branches in the woods and just, like that would be super cool. I agree with you. That'd be super cool. Um, my next question I wanted to ask. Again, these rapid fires are not very rapid, but we'll get through them. If you could have one person wear your brand, so in your case, somebody gets to wear a re-roll hoodie on the PGA or polo or whatever, who would it be?
Gary Woodland.
Okay.
I I think his ability to talk about what he's gone through these last few years um, is huge. And, like I talked to you about probably off camera at this point now, was we kind of started after the Grayson Murray incident happened.
Hmm.
And I remember right at the time we were starting, his family was starting a foundation. We touched base a little bit. I was trying to get them involved to come out to our tournament. And for someone to still be here and still have that influence, not only in the game of golf, but anyone that's watched Full Swing on Netflix, like you mentioned earlier, that was a tough episode to actually get through. Um, because when he's sitting there talking on national TV about, hey, I sat down and I wrote these letters to my wife and my kids, and things were just not working right as far as his brain chemistry went. Like, that's huge as far as moving that needle a little bit forward. And if I could send a sweatshirt to anyone on tour right now, yeah, it'd be Gary Woodland.
So that's better than my answer would have been. I could see Tony Finau wearing the green hoodie,
Oh yeah,
and we're big fans of Tony over here on the pod. So that's no shade to Tony. I think Tony would be a phenomenal, um, I don't want to say influencer, but phenomenal partner for the brand because, like Gary, Tony's very well spoken. He doesn't speak about the mental side of stuff as much, if ever. But if you're going to talk about a great role model, somebody who goes out there and looks like he's always having the time of his life, it's Tony Finau.
yeah.
I
And he's a
mean,
great family man.
yeah.
He has his priorities in place. I mean, I couldn't imagine traveling to these events trying to get ready for a tournament. And you have your wife and what does he have? Five, six, seven, 12 kids now? I mean,
Who
that
knows?
guy's and he brings them all with him. And they've talked about how, hey, do you think this has taken away from your ability to win some of these events? And I don't think he cares. I think he'd rather have that experience with his family than another PGA Tour win.
Which ultimately, that's what it's about, right? Like we saw him in the par three contest with his family, and obviously he runs backwards and dislocates his ankle and then pops it back in. But did he ever lose that smile when he's looking back at his family and his kids and his no.
No,
I don't think he would trade that for anything. Obviously, he might trade the dislocated ankle for a few things that week, but I mean, if you're going to talk about a dude who is just happy to be playing golf on the PGA Tour and who's a damn good golfer at that, I'm not saying he's bad and he's lucky to be on the tour. The tour is lucky to have Tony Finau. I mean, he's kind of the guy in my mind. It's Tony. Like if I start my own company and anybody reaches out and it's Tony, I'm freaking out and sending Tony like one of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, two of everything,
Oh,
or
hey,
12 for
if
all his
Tony's
kids.
listening and he wants some swag, let me know. I'll gladly send it out to him.
Tony, if you can sign like a picture for me, I'd appreciate it. Like, I'm a simple guy. That's all I want. Although Derek and I met Mike Conley for the second time at 3M Opens. We have some Mike Conley signed golf balls. I'll trade you a Mike Conley golf ball, Tony, for like something. I don't know. Although for Time of Wolves, I love Mike Conley. Mike Conley's
Yeah.
that guy too.
He's an OG for sure. He's a great team player.
Also has a really cool golf brand that he has not talked about very much yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What's that?
good guys finish first. GGFF, I think.
Okay.
I don't want to give bad information, so hold on. Good guys. Yep, so it's called Good Guys Finish First. It's Mike Conley's company. Um, right now, there's nothing. Some of you could wear on the golf course, but Mike Conley does play golf, and this company is all about um, Mike Conley and being just like a good dude. Like you don't ever hear anything bad about Mike Conley.
No. I
I
was
don't.
glad we were able to get him back.
Yeah,
It worked out well for us.
but yeah, if you need Mike Conley information, Good Guys Finish First. Super cool. It's very minimal. Um, it doesn't. I don't even think it says Mike Conley on any of the apparel, which is super cool. But it's very low key. We were able to like chat them a little bit, and he did tell us that he wants to add some golf pieces to it because he enjoys playing golf, and that's why the 3M has them out every year. Although Wally Zerbiak was there last year, and I've never seen Wally Zerbiak with a golf club. Granted, I've never seen Wally Zerbiak in person until I looked up at him, and I'm like, you look weirdly familiar to me. And then Derek's like, dude, that's Wally. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm a huge Wally Zerbiak fan. I just had never seen him in person. Oh, yeah, my childhood, like full circle moment right there was seeing Wally Zerbiak.
What what is he like 6'5", 6'6"?
Something like that, but he looks like a random, like he looks like a generic white guy. So that's why I didn't pick up on it right away. But I'm like, I've seen you everywhere, and people keep surrounding you. And Derek's like, yeah, that's Wally Zerbiak. And I'm like, I would throw lobs with Wally Zerbiak to KG and NBA 2K6 back in the day, or Live '06 or whatever it was on my PlayStation. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was throwing lobs with Wally to KG. KG would put up like 180 points a game, and Wally would have all the assists.
Well, if like Naz Reid wants a sweatshirt, reach out. I'll hook up Naz Reid with one.
Naz Reid, he'd be another good one. Um, Final question because I'm getting a little sleepy. Um, this one's cool because I could go do it if I wanted to. Uh, Walk us through. I'm in your neck of the woods. We're playing golf for a day. Where are we going for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Ooh,
And this is something I
so
could do because you're not too far from me.
I mean, if we're at the golf course, I mean, Brackets has great food. Um, Breakfast. Can I do something that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah.
So in Rosemont, there was this place called Big Daddy's Diner. It was an
Okay.
old school diner from like the 50s. I wish that place was still around, but I'd love to bring you there for breakfast. Um, for lunch, I think we would have to go get some, you know, we'll go get a burger. We'll actually head down to 7th Street in St. Paul. Good buddy of mine, Eric Glore, he has the House of Glore. Um,
Okay.
Fantastic burgers. He's got a genius mind when it comes to integrating different flavors on these burgers. Huge shout out to him. Um, and then for dinner, man, I'd have to get some good wood fire pizza somewhere.
Ooh, there we
Um,
go.
there's a few, I don't know if you've seen them, but the school bus brick oven pizzas
Yeah,
around. Um, Go grab something like that. Finish off the day.
I'm a sucker for pizza like that. Like my favorite pizza is Punch. I love Punch.
Okay.
Have you ever been to a Punch pizza?
I have not. I've heard about them though.
They use the big hot ovens. They put your pizza in at like 600 degrees for like 40 seconds or something, whatever it is. And they come out just like super good. It's like the classic Italian. You do like a margarita pizza. It's my favorite because you get like the charred pieces.
Yep.
I know what you're talking about though, with those kind of school bus rectangle pizzas. Uh, it's on my bucket list. There's so many good pizza places around here that I just don't have time to go try them all out. But I'm there. I'm down.
Yeah, I think Minnesota, as far as their food options, is so underrated.
Hmm.
There's so many great places around. Um, I mentioned to you earlier, if you're up in the your neck of the woods, Bunker Hills, they got a great outdoor grill, and they have something called the Double Double. It's one of the best cheeseburgers you're gonna find in the state. So check that out. Danny's out at Stone Ridge is phenomenal. And then the Legends Club in Prior Lake, they have a really good restaurant there as well.
I've heard that their restaurant is really good. I've heard the golf course is really nice too, but I heard about their restaurant before I heard about the golf course, and I thought that was interesting. So I kind of want to just eat and then maybe play golf, but really just eat.
Yeah, let's do that. You get down here, we'll take you out to a few food places. If we make it to the course, we make it to the course. Otherwise, we'll just order food for the course and go that route.
Oh, I love to eat and play golf. It's like the best. It's honestly probably the best thing ever. Um, we did we went to NorCal one year and we played Half Moon Bay. I feel like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, if we're going, we gotta go play Half Moon Bay. So we played the ocean course.
Okay.
I shit you not, Half Moon Bay might have the best breakfast burrito I've ever had. And it's just like this little like food shop. They're like, Dom, do you order food? I'm like, where'd you guys order food from? They're like, Clubhouse to the right. It's like this little hole in the wall, and they're just like, do you want the salsa on the burrito? I'm like, no, give it to me on the side. And it was the best breakfast burrito I think I've ever had. And I still dream about it, and it's been years.
It's funny how something like that can just bring back memories.
I mean, the course, gorgeous course. It's beautiful. It's worth every penny I spent, 100%. But that burrito, that's just gonna make me go back is to get that burrito.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's like the double double up at Bunker. Not a fan of the course, but if I got to go play it, at least I know I'm getting that double double.
yeah, their courses because they have three 9-hole courses. No, it's not. There's not a true 18. You play three 9 holes. It's weird. It's goofy.
So one quick question before we end things.
Yeah.
Have you ever played the game Roll Reroll?
No.
Okay, so you asked earlier about the bird,
Yeah.
but the name Reroll. So there's a game you can play on the course. Let's say it's two versus two. You can play it individually as well. But the premise is if you guys have the tee box, you tee off. If you hit poor tee shots, we can roll you, which would be doubling the points or the bet, however you want to classify it. Um, so if we roll you and then we get up and hit bad tee shots, the first team has an option to re-roll us. So the whole premise of re-roll is betting on yourself when you're counted out. So that's where the whole mental health side of
Oh.
things kind of comes in because for most people that are going through something, whether it's loss of a job, loss of a parent, struggling with addiction problems, a lot of people have already kind of counted them out. So we wanted to do something again, incorporating golf with the mental health side of things, and that's where the name reroll comes from.
Okay. I think I've seen something similar to that.
Yeah, high
I
low. It's kind of like a version of high low with
okay.
side bets, kind of.
I've seen it where somebody hits a good shot and they're like, nope, you gotta do it again. And then that person doesn't do it again, and I'm like, yeah, that would happen to me. Um, I like that. It's I in my mind, I had asked you about the name. In reality, I probably didn't. I was probably too. I have ADD. I was diagnosed at a young age with ADD. Don't know if that's apparent or not. My mother would beg to differ that it's very apparent. Um,
I think we all have it to some degree if we grew
yeah,
up in the
I
90s or
was
2000s.
I was fully distracted by the bird. Not gonna sugarcoat it. The bird was like my hyper fixation going into this. I'm like, I gotta know about that damn bird.
Yeah, just something we drew on notebooks to pass the time when we were bored in class. But yeah, no, I'll grab your information. I'll get you some stuff sent out here. Let me know your honest feedback. And then we'll figure out a time to get together, play some golf. Again, our tournament's July 6th down at Brackett's Crossing in Lakeville. Um, you can find it on our social media page, or you can go to our website under the foundation. There should be a link there. And again, we're looking to grow this thing pretty organically. Take it one year at a time, one step at a time. So hoping to fill out the course. We can have up to 36 teams, so should be a good day.
I might have to ask you for the link, but it's something I'd love to play in if I'm able to. Obviously, that's a weird time. Uh, not a weird time, just a busy
Yep.
time. Um, is that a Sunday? The fourth's on a weird day this year.
So it's on a Monday, so it's the Monday following 4th of July weekend.
Got it. I'll take it off. I don't care.
I look forward to it. Should be a fun time. And hey,
Listen.
thanks again for reaching out, helping us spread, not only information about our company, but a good hour plus here talking about kind of mental health and how the game of golf can help some of those people going through some struggles.
Yeah, and before we end it, mental health is super important. You never know what people are going through, and it's one of those things where, it's hard to sit here and be like, ah, people should just talk about it. You don't know how hard it can be to sit there and, give your life story to somebody else and hope that they accept it and can help, or just listen because it's hard to sit there and talk about it. I have a hard time talking about myself personally, so you asking about the pod, it's hard for me to kind of take credit, even though I know Derek would be like, Dom's the producer, the editor, the mastermind. I do all the social media, so it's really the Dom show, and Derek would say that, and I feel terrible saying that personally, but it is something I'm super proud of. Um, but you never know what the person next to you is going through. Just be kind to people. Unfortunately, it's hard for a lot of people right now, which is stupid. Just be nice, listen to people, ask how somebody's day is. You don't have to do much, but sometimes doing something is enough. So, I think that's a good place to end it. Corey, hang out for a little bit because I do need one thing from you. But it's nothing major. I just don't want you to hang up, which is fine. So,
Well, again, hey, thanks for listening and really glad we got to connect here tonight.
of course, no, thanks for coming. To everybody listening, I will link everything, reroll in the description of the podcast, IG page, website, stuff like that. That'll all be available. You just gotta click on all my links in the podcast. So,